Tonight, government set to call for a commission of inquiry into the shooting death of a Defense Force officer on the grounds of Government House. We've got the details off the top. Also, authorities say the majority of gaming operators are not in compliance with the new tax regime. And later, the Oxford Group presents its report on WTO. Find out what's in it coming up. This is Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News brought to you by Flow Evo, powered by BTC. Flow Evo is here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Candino Knowles. Thanks for joining us. Off the top tonight, government announcing late this afternoon its intent to appoint a committee of inquiry to investigate the shooting death of Defense Force officer Philip Ramming, who was killed in the guard room at Government House nearly 2 weeks ago while on duty. Another Defense Force officer has already been charged with his murder. However, the National Security Minister says an independent probe will be launched. A press conference is scheduled for tomorrow morning where we expect to get more details. But in the meantime, our April Sands is live at Government House tonight with more on these latest developments. April?
Candino, it was just 2 weeks ago that drama unfolded right here on government grounds. 52-year-old Philip Rapal was shot and killed, allegedly by the hands of another Marine officer. Now, just as promised, National Security Minister Marvin Dames has launched an official inquiry. Of course, that's to find out what happened that fateful night of April 28th and why. The incident, of course, also raining alarm for government to conduct an audit into other government buildings that are manned by Defense Force officers to determine whether or not there is enough manpower or that is needed on the ground. Now, shortly after the incident, of course, took place just 2 Sundays ago, the National Security Minister committed to determining just that. And I have a clip of what he had to say that day.
I've also said to the Commodore that effective immediately, I would like for him to take a look now at all of these places. Listen, this is the world that we're living in today. And you open up your newspaper almost any day, you see similar incidents either on bases somewhere or and the workplace, you know, and so we're not immune from it. The question is what do we do to improve on it or to learn from this experience? You know, it's unfortunate that it took this incident really to really bring the public's attention to this. We will be looking at it in depth to find out exactly what happened, why it happened, and if there were any breaches or failures to address those aggressively.
Now, Candino, last week, the officer that was charged with the death of Officer Rapal is known as 35-year-old able seaman Javon Seymour. But here's where it gets tricky. There's a petition that's floating around that was signed by over 700 people that claim that Seymour is in fact innocent. They also claim the evidence that's put against him just don't add up. Now, just to reiterate what you said earlier, of course, that press conference to announce the details surrounding the inquiry happens tomorrow at the Churchill building at 9 a.m. Okay, and of course, the petition also claims that evidence, of course, as I mentioned, does not add up. Now, reporting, of course, from government grounds, I'm April Sands. It's back to you in studio, Candino.
All right. Thanks a lot. April Sands reporting for us live tonight. Thanks a lot, April. It's certainly a story that we will continue to follow, that press conference. We will certainly be there tomorrow and bring you all the latest developments. In the meantime, visit our website, ewnews.com, for this and all of today's top stories. In other news tonight, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest confirming today that a number of gaming operators have still not made their mandatory contributions in accordance with government's recently implemented tax regime for gaming houses. During last year's budget, government announced that it would begin taxing the gaming industry, that is, on its annual earnings and would also introduce a patron tax. After months of pushback from the gaming industry, the government announced in February that both sides had finally reached an agreement which would see the public purse earning some $50 million annually from the new tax, which took effect in April. But according to Minister Turnquest, government is still having a hard time getting the majority of gaming operators to pay up.
There are two of the gaming houses that are, one is completely compliant, another is partially compliant, and there are some that are not compliant. And we encourage all of them, regardless of what you think, regardless of any legal challenge that may be out there that you intend to mount, that you have an obligation to the state to pay your taxes. And again, for my part, my job is to collect the government taxes that is due, and I certainly would encourage them to meet their commitment.
And Minister Turnquest also saying that the group's failure to meet their obligations slightly shifted government's expected tax revenue from the gaming industry. The Ministry of Finance recently released a 9-month snapshot of the 3 quarters of the current fiscal year. The report showed that while government has made significant headway in decreasing the country's deficit, it still lags behind in a number of areas for revenue collection. Gaming taxes was one of them.
Any reduction or failure to collect taxes that are due that have been budgeted is going to cause some effect. So we've seen that. There's no denying that there's going to be a shortfall in the budgeted revenue from gaming. But again, the good news is that we've been able to manage our expenditure side to take into account that. So we're still hopeful, expectant that we will meet our deficit target.
Well, the opposition today criticizing government for using the pulpit to further its political agenda and, according to opposition leader Philip Davis, tear down the Progressive Liberal Party, the PLP. Also questioning tonight how former Christian Council President Reverend Dr. Ranford Patterson could allow the Prime Minister to, quote, defile such a holy place. Francesca Brown has more on this.
It's inappropriate. I mean, the church is the church, and when we are in the church, right, the secular issues are only addressed in the context of our biblical teachings.
It's the stance the Progressive Liberal Party has taken that the Free National Movement, more specifically Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, was wrong when he used the sanctuary to criticize the PLP. On Sunday, the nation's chief was speaking at the F&M's church service to commemorate its 2nd anniversary in office at the Cousin McPhee Church on Carmichael Road. While making his address, Dr. Minnis said the PLP was corrupt and wasted and stole the people's money. PLP leader Philip Davis said the church was not the place for the Prime Minister's, quote, lies.
It is not to use to promote one's party or to promote a party or to diminish another party in the context of the spiritual realm. Because at the end, what I could say is that this morning, and I was just saying to the chairman, two senior pastors called me to lament the fact that the church was allowed to be used in that fashion.
PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell also criticized Reverend Patterson for allowing Dr. Minnis to use the church for political mischief.
The Reverend ought to rethink whether he ought to have these people back in his church. They simply do not know what is appropriate to say and what is not. Had he been in certain churches, the Prime Minister would have been stopped dead in his tracks for violating the terms of reference of an appearance in church. There are certain protocols and norms which obtain when you speak in a church. And one of them is that while you can thank God for what he's done for you, you do not use it for direct political speeches.
When contacted, Dr. Reverend Patterson had little to say.
The PLP should be the last to talk about anything. I have no comment in reference to that. We had a church service. I can't control who speaks what, who says what. All right, so I don't have any comment.
Francesca Brown, Eyewitness News.
Meantime, opposition leader Philip Davis said his resistance to approving Paul Roll's promotion to acting commissioner of police has nothing to do with the senior officer's character or his service. Rather, Davis said if he was consulted on the appointment, he would have demanded to know what the government's future plans are for the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
I will not be able to intelligently respond to a request for the appointment of anyone unless I know what the plans are for that office, for the police force. Right now, we don't know what shape or form, what are the plans, what is the organizational plans, how they intend to effectively carry out the policing efforts in accordance with the Commissioner's police and plans for the year. We don't know. I don't know what is intended until I'm able to do that. I know Paul Rule well, right? But it's not about Paul Rule right now. It's about the government's vision and policy and plans for the police force.
Jet ski operators on Goodman Bay are sounding off on what they are calling injustice. Vice President of the Jet Ski Operators Association making some serious claim alleging that a mega resort in the Cable Beach area is hosting water sports operators on their property, taking business away from members of that association. Matthew Moxie is following this.
Now, we don't want this to go any further than this. We want to put our foot down on this.
Jet ski operators on Goodman's Bay today have had enough of the shenanigans. This according to Vice President of the Jet Ski Operators Association, Pedro Bannister, who revealed to Eyewitness News that they have reason to believe jet boat operators are operating on Bahamas property, renting motorized aquatic vehicles to their guests, which they claim is against the law and unfair.
It will affect us because if the company that has a spot directly on the beach and they could talk to the people before they get down to the jet ski operators, which we license to operate 10 foot from the water line. That is going to hurt our business tremendously.
It's a blow that hits hard for these local entrepreneurs as they express that a dent in customers will trickle down and impact their families. President of the Jet Ski Operators Association, Patrick Glinton, said that a seat at the negotiation table with hoteliers will be a step in the right direction.
Only thing we want to do is provide for our family and provide legit without doing anything illegal to take care of our families. And that's what I want to say to the Bahamas. Please understand us. It's not all as bad as people say we are. We are trying to do what is right, but we need help by being able to communicate with the hotel to see what we need to do to kink out the problems.
Now, we took our drone for a spin to see what all the buzz was about. We discovered the rentals mentioned by the jet ski operators just on the shorelines of Bahamas water park construction site. Bannister is also claiming that the new operators are engaging in unsafe practices.
You see them in the swim line. You don't operate motorcraft vehicles in the swim line. You operate those out the swim line because that could be a dangerous spot for the tourists. But let me tell you what has happened. Anytime people try to get tricky in life and try to swing the right brothers that's supposed to be making the money out here, something serious is going to happen.
Now, jet ski operators already feel like they've taken a hit by the recent travel advisories issued by the United States. Now, if this is indeed true, they said that this will also further impact their business. Reporting for Eyewitness News, I'm Matthew Moxie.
Growing concerns over the nation's one-to-one U.S. dollar peg facing an increased strain caused by the broadening World Trade Organization induced trade deficits following the publication of Oxford Economics' report on the potential economic impacts of the nation's WTO membership. However, head of global trade at Oxford Economics, Lloyd Barton, said that after analysis, that parity will hold.
The outcome of the modelling doesn't suggest that we're going to lose parity with the US dollar. In fact, the modelling assumes that that parity holds. What we showed in the first scenario, which was WTO accession on its own, outside of any other domestic policy reform agenda, is that other things equal, then the current account would be, the current account deficit would be rather larger, and that could, other things equal, put some pressure onto external central bank reserves. But we're not suggesting or implying that that means that parity with the US dollar needs to be kind of lost.
Barton is suggesting that if the Bahamas wishes to excel once it becomes a part of the World Trade Organization, government needs to focus on domestic policy reform.
I think what the modelling shows is that W2 accession on its own would be beneficial for the economy, but moderately so. If you really want to get the full benefits from W2 accession, then domestic policy reforms to make the economy more competitive are really what you need. And that goes beyond just WTO. I mean, the economy itself has a number of structural bottlenecks which are holding back growth. And really what's needed is a kind of decisive policy reform agenda, of which W2 accession would be one element to really unlock growth going forward.
Police need your help finding 25-year-old Adelis Wilmy, who is wanted for questioning by the Central Detective Unit for sexual assault, which happened in Eastern New Providence last month. Wilmy is described as having dark brown complexion, stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, and is of slim build. If you have any information on his whereabouts, you are asked to contact police at 919 or 328-TIPS. To get another look at that photo, please visit our website, ewnews.com. We are just getting started in Eyewitness News, but when we come back, officers getting some additional training in financial crimes. We'll tell you about it. And later, a host of officers graduate from an international program as government looks to further decrease serious crime figures. We've got more on that coming up, but first, here's a check on tonight's weather forecast.
They say time flies when you're having fun, but can you believe it's been 1 year since Eyewitness News made its debut? We're the new news standard, and to show our appreciation for your support, we're having a week-long celebration. We'll highlight some of the best moments in news since 2018. We take the fun to the streets of the capital on Saturday at 11 a.m. with an exciting float parade. Come out to see the country's top news reporters as we spread the love. And then join us at R.M. Bailey Park, where the float parade will culminate at 2 p.m. There will be 20 exciting pop-up vendors for you to enjoy sweet treats and so much more. And then on Sunday, we invite you to celebrate with us at our anniversary church service to be held at Trinity Assembly City of Praise. It's our 1-year anniversary, and we want you to celebrate with us.
Expo 2019 is here. It all comes together at the Expo site on Glaston Road. Expo 2019 will feature livestock and culinary competitions. Catch the grizzly pig, the Bahamas Hot Pepper Eating Championships, plus great deals on fruit, vegetables, sauces, condiments, handicrafts, and farming supplies. Come and take part in our celebrity chef cooking classes. Admission is free. It's the 2019 Agribusiness Expo, Thursday, May 9th through Saturday, May 11th. See you there.
You are looking at live pictures over Nassau Harbor, where the temperature is right around 82. We've got a low tonight of 75. This is Eyewitness News. Welcome back. The Bahamas Union of Teachers and the Ministry of Education appear to be making headway over existing contentious issues impacting the two. Education Minister Jeff Lloyd telling reporters outside of Cabinet this morning that his ministry has begun negotiations with the union and expects that both sides will be able to come to a resolve within a matter of weeks. The negotiations are primarily important for the teachers union as it will negotiate the union's recently proposed industrial agreement and issues relative to pay increases and monies owed to educators in the public school system.
Negotiations have just begun, so our team and BUT's team are gathering to now finalize negotiations. And we expect it will be, very smooth, no difficulty. We have already had preliminary discussions with BUT on a host of issues, most of which now are now confined to writing, so there shouldn't be too much difficulty in what it is that we need to discuss. Of course, as you know, the most important part of this would be finances. So even though our team, I'm talking about the Ministry of Education's team, would have already assembled to have our discussions with the Bahamas Union of Teachers, then they would have to sit with the Ministry of Finance and the financial persons there to come to an agreement with regard to what the government can afford for the next 4 or 5 years.
Members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force locked in a 10-day training seminar at police headquarters for the next 10 days. The training is specifically geared toward properly training officers attached to the police force's Financial Investigations Unit. According to National Security Minister Marvin Dames, his ministry has placed the issue of money laundering and terrorist financing high on its agenda. Minister Dames says the force will begin strengthening its financial crimes unit with building capacity.
That not only means working with those of you who have been in the field for a very long time, but what it also means is that it is now causing us to even look at the way we recruit. And so we're looking for those persons with degrees in finance and computers because we want to build a very robust and a very vibrant financial investigations team. That's extremely important to us. So very shortly, the Commissioner will be building this team to the numbers it ought to be to ensure that we have the skilled persons to protect our financial industry.
16 senior officers of the Royal Bahamas Police Force graduating this week from an 8-week program organized by the University of the Bahamas in partnership with Georgia State University to help strengthen the skill set of the force's upper echelon. The program is divided into 2 parts, the first half of which was adjudicated at the University of the Bahamas, and the second part expected to happen at Georgia State in Atlanta this weekend. The Minister of National Security, Marvin Dames, also spoke with members of the press on the program's efforts.
Second phase of this program, and we hope within 2 weeks' time we shall have a graduation at the end of next week, and I'm looking forward to traveling to Atlanta to be a part of that experience. And so this is tremendous. This is trailblazing. It's pioneering, and we wanted certainly the University of the Bahamas to be much a part of that. And we pride ourselves with the relationship that we're beginning to forge with University of the Bahamas.
Superintendent of Police Mark Barrett was a part of that program and shared some of the details involved in the training.
We went through the budgeting aspect of it from a broad perspective. We had lectures from the Treasury Department, Ministry of Finance. Actually, the treasurer herself came in and lectured, and also the Auditor General. And so every one of the modules were beneficial, and so it does help to enhance the capability of law enforcement in terms of leadership and expanding not only the leadership within the organization, but the Bahamas, the Bahamian people in general.
All right, that does it for us in this segment. But coming up in sports, Randy Smith is off the top with all the latest action. Randy?
Canino, the high school soccer national championships kicked off today. We have highlights and sounds from day one coming up in Eyewitness Sports.
They say time flies when you're having fun, but can you believe it's been 1 year since Eyewitness News made its debut? We're the new news standard, and to show our appreciation for your support, we're having a week-long celebration. We'll highlight some of the best moments in news since 2018. We take the fun to the streets of the capital on Saturday at 11 a.m. with an exciting float parade. Come out to see the country's top news reporters as we spread the love. And then join us at R.M. Bailey Park, where the float parade will culminate at 2 p.m. There will be 20 exciting pop-up vendors for you to enjoy sweet treats and so much more. And then on Sunday, we invite you to celebrate with us at our anniversary church service to be held at Trinity Assembly City of Praise. It's our 1-year anniversary, and we want you to celebrate with us.
For decades, the Bahamian people have been asking for the tough questions, and that's what we've committed to doing to them and for them. Ask them more of what they've been thinking all along, but not had the opportunity to ask themselves. That's what we do. That's who we are. We represent the Bahamian people. We provoke thought, we give analysis. At the end of the day, we're not afraid to ask the tough questions. So do we have an agenda? Yes, we do. The Bahamian people, they're our agenda.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Randy Smith, and welcome to Eyewitness Sports. Locally, the high school soccer national championships kicked off today at the Roscoe Davies Field. The Life OK Dragons are the top seed in the boys division, while the Lady Dragons are ranked as the #1 team in the girls division. They'll have a first-round bye in the tournament.
We're extremely excited. You know, this is the first game last year you were here, Randy, when we started, you know, bringing it up to this level, and there was very few people here. Now we have a situation where we have a healthy crowd in game match one, first half of match one, and so we know that eventually what's going to happen as we go through the weekend, especially up to the championships.
I've always held the position that we have one Bahamas. I know we have many sporting associations. The Bahamas Association of Independent Secondary Schools is not just a sporting association. We cover the whole aspect of school education. But it is always a delight to find when you have the entire Bahamas young people competing in competitive, wholesome sports such as this would be have here.
Expect tough competition from all the teams involved. All of the players had exciting seasons. The ones who won, they won after going through a grueling round of games. And so I expect nothing less than intense competition when these guys hit the field.
Also, the Bahamas Triathlon Association's national championships took place on Jaws Beach over the weekend. The event featured 4 different age categories with over 100 competitors participating. The event also serves as a qualifier for the Carifta Games. Jason Costello, Ralph Wood, and Ellen Morgan were among some of the biggest winners at the event. We also have some highlights coming in from track and field. Sprinter Tania Gaither picked up a big win over the weekend at the Tom Tellez Invitational. Competing in the women's 100 meters, Gaither crossed the line in 11.26 seconds, smashing the old meet record of 11.30 seconds. And also in his first year as a coach at Western Carolina Track and Field, Derek Atkins has been recognized as the school's Coach of the Year. Behind Atkins, the Catamounts captured their 4th consecutive Southern Conference Outdoor Track and Field title. Well, that does it for us in sports, but stay tuned. Eyewitness News continues in a moment. I'm Randy Smith. Have a great evening.
So what makes a great news product? That's the question Eyewitness News thrives upon. We pride ourselves in asking the tough questions
and giving you information no one else is giving you.
Investigative reports to uncover things you need to know.
Breaking news with stories most important to you.
Covering all angles to maintain balance and integrity.
All while raising the bar and setting a new standard.
It's these principles that distinguish Eyewitness News as the most reliable news source. It's not just news, it's the new news standard.
You're watching Eyewitness News.
All right, coming up and beyond the headlines with Clint Watson, the host continues his discussion from last week with the Deputy Speaker of the House and the Vice Chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party on the Immigration Act. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up and beyond the headlines. It starts right after this. That does it for us in Eyewitness News. It's certainly been a pleasure having you in our company tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Candino Knowles saying good night.